Some things can shock you into silence. And when you're on a broadcast, the silence can be awkward. For you and the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, listening, silence in itself is not unusual, but in a medium built on constant chatter, analysis, and energy, silence suddenly feels louder than any words could. It has weight, and it lingers, becoming almost a character in the unfolding story. This is what happened during a game between the Texas Rangers and the Oakland Athletics, when a moment that nobody anticipated hijacked the live broadcast and left announcers fumbling for words. It was the top of the fifth inning, and the game had already been following its rhythm. Batters stepping up to the plate, pitchers eyeing their opponents with focus, fielders ready in their stances, and broadcasters doing what they always do, filling the air with play-by-play statistics, anecdotes, and banter. Baseball games thrive on this commentary. They are not just contests between players but also shared experiences shaped by those describing the action. Then, in a split second, the tone of the broadcast changed dramatically. The camera cut away from the field and zoomed in on a couple in the stands. At first, it seemed like the typical crowd shot networks used to capture fan energy. But what the viewers saw was far from a family-friendly moment. The man, seemingly aware that the camera was on him, reached out and grabbed the woman's chest in a way that left no ambiguity. The couple seemed to be in on the act, perhaps even trying to create a spectacle. But for the broadcast, the image was jarring. Immediately, the camera cut away. The screen returned to the players on the field as if nothing had happened, but everyone, the fans at home, the broadcasters in the booth, and anyone paying attention knew that something had just transpired that didn't belong on live television. The air went still. A silence fell, the kind of silence that doesn't just hang but demands acknowledgement. The announcers, seasoned professionals used to reacting to just about anything, were suddenly caught in a trap. What could they say? What should they say? The risk of saying the wrong thing loomed large, and so they hesitated. "You are a handful, Chris," someone on the broadcast finally said. Most likely directed at Chris Carey, the Athletics play-by-play announcer. The line itself might have seemed like a small attempt at humor or a deflection to move things along. But after those words, there was nothing, just 22 long seconds of silence. In broadcasting, 22 seconds feels like an eternity. It's enough time for fans watching at home to feel the awkwardness seep through the screen. It's long enough for social media to light up with people wondering if they really just saw what they thought they saw. It's long enough for the announcers themselves to feel like they are trapped in an uncomfortable spotlight. When the silence finally broke, it was with Carey's chuckle as he tried to regain his composure while calling a pop fly. Rangers third baseman Josh Young slapped the ball out to center field, leading to the third out of the inning. The timing was almost merciful, giving the broadcasters a chance to pivot away from the uncomfortable moment and let the game itself resume center stage. As the commercial break arrived, many watching were still buzzing about what they had just witnessed. It was the kind of fleeting, unscripted moment that sports television occasionally delivers. One that isn't part of the playbook but becomes part of the lore. As for the game itself, it didn't slow down after the interruption. The Rangers, already leading 5-2 at that point, held on to their momentum. They added to their tally and maintained control through the rest of the outing, ultimately walking away with a 9-3 victory. For Texas, it was more than just another win. It was part of a larger push, a campaign that had them clawing their way into playoff contention. The win set them up for the series finale against the A's, with the potential for a sweep, a momentum booster in a season where every game carried heavy implications. The Rangers had been hot recently, riding a 4-game winning streak. Just days earlier, they had erupted in a historic offensive outburst, scoring 20 runs against the Los Angeles Angels. That game had reminded everyone of the Rangers' potential when their lineup clicked. Baseball is often about consistency, about stringing together wins and finding rhythm at the right time. For Texas, the late-season surge was a lifeline, keeping their playoff hopes alive in a crowded American League race. By the end of this game, their record stood at 72-67. That put them just 2.5 games behind the Seattle Mariners for the final American League wildcard spot. In baseball terms, 2.5 games is both close and far. It's close enough to make hope realistic, but far enough that every mistake, every missed opportunity, looms large. The Rangers knew they didn't have much room for error. Each game was a chance to move closer, each series an opportunity to rewrite their season narrative. But as much as the win mattered, The broadcast incident refused to fade quietly. In the age of instant clips, memes, and viral content, the moment was replayed, shared, and discussed endlessly online. Some fans laughed it off as a bizarre and lighthearted interruption, while others criticized the couple for inappropriate behavior in a public space, especially with cameras around. For the broadcasters, the silence became a story of its own. Viewers dissected those 22 seconds, debating whether the silence reflected professionalism, embarrassment, or simple shock. It highlighted how unpredictable live sports can be, not just in terms of the games themselves but in everything surrounding them. Live television is a fragile thing. Broadcasters juggle multiple roles: narrators, entertainers, analysts, and custodians of the broadcast's tone. When unexpected moments occur, they must make split-second decisions on how to react. Do they ignore what happened? Do they address it directly? Do they laugh it off? In this case, silence seemed like the safest option, but silence carries meaning, too. In the world of sports broadcasting, fans are not just listening to what's said, they are also attuned to what's left unsaid. Looking back, the game between the Rangers and the A's will be remembered not only for the win, the playoff chase implications, or the plays on the field, but also for the strange, fleeting moment that derailed the broadcast. Baseball is full of moments like this, snapshots of humanity that slip through the cracks of the game itself. Sometimes it's a fan running onto the field, a bizarre call from an umpire, or a technical glitch. This time, it was an ill-advised display caught on camera, followed by a silence that echoed louder than words. For the Rangers, the victory was another step in a season of resilience, of trying to prove themselves as contenders. For the A's, it was another tough loss in a year marked by struggles, disappointment, and questions about their future as a franchise. And for the fans, it was a reminder that baseball, like life, is unpredictable. You tune in for the game, but you never know what else you might witness. That unpredictability is part of the reason fans remain loyal. They crave not just the home runs, the strikeouts, and the final scores, but also the stories, the characters, and the unscripted drama that unfold in between. The Rangers' push for the playoffs, the A's struggles, the broadcaster's silence, the crowd's energy, all of it weaves together into the fabric of the season. This particular game may fade into the archives statistically, but the moment of silence, born out of shock, will linger in memory far longer than the box score ever will. And perhaps that is the beauty and the chaos of live sports. It isn't always neat, polished, or predictable. It isn't scripted entertainment where every scene has been rehearsed. It is real life unfolding in front of millions, complete with its imperfections, accidents, and surprises. Broadcasters, players, and fans all share in that unpredictability. One day, it's a walk-off home run that cements a team's legacy. Another day, it's a mistake or a bizarre incident in the stands that no one saw coming. The silence that followed this particular moment was more than awkward, it was authentic. It captured the humanity of everyone involved, the inability to always know what to do or say in real time. And while the Rangers moved one step closer to the postseason with their win, the silence itself became its own piece of history, a reminder that sometimes what isn't said speaks loudest of all.